do this story on transhumanism. Well, it's not a story. It's more of a little report here.
Transhuman, make way for the Homo superior.
Now, in the context of the situation with Russia. Oh, yeah, this Russia.
Russia.
In recent weeks, we've learned a lot of new names, some different things going down. One of the names that has come up over the several weeks of the Russia-Ukraine tensions is a guy named Alexander Dugan, Dugin, whose I believe his daughter was killed or at least it was reported that she was killed.
That was the journalist or the propagandist.
The propagandist, right?
Depending on which news outlet you're reading.
Yes. Now, Alexander Dugan has a book called The Great Awakening versus the Great Reset. It was published in September of 2021. And, I hadn't read it, but I was going through some theology stuff, just on YouTube, clicking around apologetics and theology. And I came across a YouTube channel called Blogging Theology. Never heard it before, but there was a little report on Alexander Dugan by a guy named Dr. Michael Millerman. And again, I don't know who these people are, but they were talking about it. And I came into this thinking, okay, let me just learn a little bit more about this Dugan guy. But what I heard was actually a lot more surprising. And it's the reason why I wanted to bring it to you. It has to do with transhumanism, but it really puts into simple words, more or less, the direction of the world, the whole liberalism versus the conservatism. And then, of course, we can tie it back to Russia and the interesting thing that's happening with the split and the war and the multipolar world and stuff like that. So here's Dr. Michael Millerman discussing collective identity, like liberal collective identity, which is basically, progressivism, liberal politics, all that's been taking place out here in the West and around the world. And he is describing Dugan's response to that.
So the idea here is that he's looking at the principle of the liberation of the individual from collective forms of identity. He's looking at this basic principle, again, having traced it to its medieval roots and played it out across various sectors like economics, morality, and so on. And he says, if we carry this principle through to its logical conclusion, at some point we will face the fact that to be human is also a collective identity. Human is like, we had various horses, and then we had, being a horse as a kind of collective identity. Occam's razor cut that out. So now we have various particular individuals. We have being human as a collective identity. Occam's razor has to come in and cut that out as well. So the idea here is that if we're truly free from all collective identities, then we're free as well from the identity of being human. And the liberation of the individual means liberating us to say yes or no to the identity of being human. Wow. We're truly free only if we're free to embrace our transhumanism, our posthumanism. In some sense, becoming a machine is the full expression of liberation from collective identity. So Dugan writes about that kind of thing as well.
So yeah, this Dugan guy is talking about transhumanism, I guess, a lot in his writings, which is not, it's not very surprising. I guess it's the response to the technocratic rise with the Noah Yuval Harari types, talking about the global brain system and everything else. But what does this look like practically? And I think this 40-second clip from the same interview here really summarizes how this plays out.
He sees some of the seeds of posthumanism, transhumanism in the philosophy and in the practice of today, but it's not a full-blown reality yet. But he says there will be a time where, just like if you support, let's say, Trump, you're accused of as being a fascist. If you support authoritarian regimes as an alternative to global liberalism, you're accused of being a fascist. Dugan predicts there will be a time where if you say I'm human, you'll be accused of as being fascist, and that democracy will be on the side of posthumanism and transhumanism. So that's the basic idea. It seems far-fetched, but I think at the level of the extrapolation of the basic principle, it's consistent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's heavy. So transhumanism and posthumanism will be democratic. That will be the correct way to be.
Right.
And if you're anti-transhumanist or posthumanist, you're what?
You're anti-human.
You're anti-human, you're anti-democracy,
you're
anti-Western values. You know, it's interesting because it's kind of already that way. Like it's not even, I mean, you can see the seeds. This is sort of the logical conclusion of what you see now, which is if you are not 100% in support of transcending biology, I mean, I don't even need to say out loud the myriad of different ways that applies to what we've seen over the past few years. But if you do not support the transcendence of our biology, you are going against democracy. It's just the most insane thing. And it's not a great look that the guy who's writing about this, when his daughter gets assassinated, we're supposed to cheer for it.
Right. Yeah. No, tying it back to the current events of what all this means is I mean, if you're not a good look, if you're murdering the guy saying this. And, you know, the problem and the part that got me thinking like, oh boy, is, you know, in terms of a philosophical analysis of society today, those points are kind of like, we've kind of been saying that for years. You know, it's kind of, I mean, to me, I can understand maybe why, you know, Susan is like, we got to shut these guys down because it took a Dugan writing a something in 2021, sort of putting into his own words stuff that we've been alluding to for years.
Oh, did somehow he write that in 2021?
Yeah, that particular.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so a lot of this stuff is more recent.
It's good because that means we didn't copy it from him. He took it from a movement that was already moving that I'm sure he was involved in for much longer. But
yeah. So this idea of the Great Awakening versus the Great Reset, I know a lot of people have covered it, and we've done our own sort of thing about it. And you know, is it leading to the two beasts? You know, Revelation 13, where it talks about the beast from the sea and then the beast from the earth, and they sort of work together in the end. But also, you know, just giving into context what the whole Russia war, Ukraine system is, and we'll tie it into Africa and Antarctica later on. It just seems like the divide and conquer is becoming much more obvious, and it's going to fall not on geopolitical lines per se, but more so on these ideological lines. We already have.
You say obvious, and I think obvious is correct, but I think it could more accurately, you know, be described as stark. You know, it used to be like a more, I don't know, wishy-washy, gushy, obscure lines, but it's so specifically an ideological line of biology or not biology or transcending biology. Yeah. You choose one, and whatever one you choose decides whether you're for or against democracy. It is really incredible.
The where the rubber meets the road is in something like this. And I found this just kind of perusing around the internet, but it is directly from the National Institute of Health, the National Library of Medicine. This was published in August of 2018, and it is a paper that is titled "Compulsory Moral Bioenhancement Should Be Covert." I'll just read a little bit.
Say that one more time, slower.
Compulsory moral bioenhancement should be covert.
So forced transhumanism should be secret. Should be secret.
Yes,
and it's moral. So it's
moral.
Yeah, it's not just transhumanism. It's sort of righteously aligned transhumanism must be forced, and it must be secret.
Yes,
that sounds like it was taken out of a conspiracy theory book 20 years ago.
100%. So it says here, some theorists argue that moral bioenhancement ought to be compulsory. I take this argument one step further, arguing that if moral bioenhancement ought to be compulsory, then its administration ought to be covert rather than overt. This is to say that it is more morally preferable for compulsory moral bioenhancement to be administered without the recipients knowing that they are receiving morally
Preferably, blah, 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 blah.
compulsory moral bioenhancement to be administered without the recipient's knowledge that they are receiving the enhancement. My argument for this is that if moral bioenhancement ought to be compulsory, then its administration is a matter of public health. This was written in 2018, before the pandemic, and for this reason should be governed by public.
Who wrote this? Where is this from? I'm sorry. It's insane. You're going to need to read it again, everything you're just reading.
Sure.
But I need to know. I'm sorry. Maybe you said it and I was doing something else.
This is the National Institute of Health. This is directly from their website. This is, NIH.gov.
You are
PubMed.
reading it off of their website right now.
Right
You're
now,
not taking
yes.
it off of
No,
a weird
this is not a
blog or a
blog.
screenshot or something.
No, 2019, January, I guess, August 29th, 2018. Also, looks like maybe there was an update to it at some point. But yeah, it's titled Compulsory Moral Bioenhancement Should Be Covert.
We need to make sure to archive this page.
Yes, yeah, this page does need to be
I'll
archived.
do it right now. You read that again.
Okay. My argument for this is that if moral bioenhancement ought to be compulsory, then its administration is a matter of public health, and for this reason should be governed by public health ethics. I argue that the covert administration of a compulsory moral bioenhancement program better conforms to public health ethics and does an overt compulsory program. In particular, a covert compulsory program promotes values such as liberty, utility, equality, and autonomy better than an overt program does. Thus, a covert compulsory moral bioenhancement program is morally preferable to an overt moral bioenhancement program.
Secretly turning
administrating
unwitting individuals, not even unwitting, like purposefully lying to individuals to adjust their biology.
Yeah, to be more ethical.
Is more ethical to secretly change our DNA? I don't know. That could take
just anything biology. Just any biology that
different ways, I guess,
becomes more. Yeah, that makes us more moral. And so it's like this weird Ouroboros loop of like, in order to create better morality.
The moral part I'm reading differently.
No, I know. I'm saying there's two parts.
That it makes us moral. It's that it is more moral to change us without telling us.
Well, that's what the point is. It's in order to create a more moral bioenhancement for the populace. It is moral to do so covertly than it is to do so openly.
Yeah.
So anyway. I just thought I'd add that in there. Don't be afraid, folks. There's nothing wrong with the world. It's just, some papers from the NIH discussing how they secretly want to enhance our bio.
In 2018.
In 2018, yeah. Yep. So
I'm looking at it here. NIH, National Library of Medicine, National Center for Biotechnology Information, PubMed.gov, compulsory moral bioenhancement should be covert. Parker Crutchfield. I'm sure there's some fun things about this guy. I'm just going to open
Crutchfield, huh?
Just going to open a tab here for
the Epistemology of Moral Bioenhancement, written in 2016.
Parker Crutchfield. This sounds Parker Crutchfield sounds like a fake name.
Yeah, it does.
In
Intelligence
a sci-fi
agency
villain, young adult book, maybe.
Crutchfield, yeah. All right. Well, there you go.
Western Michigan University.